Super. BS.
La-di-da, here we are. It's I, lovable baby boy Brank, back from the dead and ready to break some bread. I'm joined by a waving person that I love who's named LakersCorner.biz. LakersCorner.biz, reveal yourself.
It is Gerald Glassford. It's not LakersCorner.biz, but everybody seems to want to get a hold and use my talk studio. So it is just me, lowly Gerald Glassford. And it's so funny. This show is already getting off to a great bang because by the time the intro comes off, Josh is walking off the set. And so that was classic.
I need some rewrites on this script, guys.
He was.
We came up from the intro, and you're already gone. You're walking off.
He's called the despised one for a reason. He's so despised that he didn't even like the own intro he made. So he walked off in protest for it. Despised one, reveal yourself. Give everybody your name, just so everybody knows who you are.
This is despised one Josh here in the bottom of the screen, not having walked away. I'm getting ready to fire the director named Brank though, because yeah, it's just it's low pay, man. I can't do this. It's just the pay's too low. The acting's really bad. The script writing is terrible.
I pay the minimum wage in Bangladesh, man. So that's what you knew when you signed on. Is I do Bangladeshi minimum wage practices here. Okay, so you'll get your rupees and you'll be happy. So
yeah, this is just a set right now. There's a bunch. There's like 30 little kids making sneakers back there.
Behind that, yeah. For some odd reason, we love the set of boxes in our background. We need to get more of those so we get that painted on. Or we're here today to talk about some games and to play some games. So we're going to do a game here really, really soon to decide what year in gaming is the greatest year of all time. But before we get that, we need to do some aloha spirit, get some aloha lifestyle, because I've been in the land of Hawaii playing like a dragon.
You wore that shirt on purpose? Was that a setup?
It was not a setup, actually, but I was wearing this today, and I realized I've been playing a lot of Like a Dragon, Pirate Yakuza in Hawaii. Easiest name ever, rolls off the tongue. Nobody's ever going to forget it. It's incredible, but before I start blathering on and on, I know Gerald talked a little bit about it last week. Did you get a chance to dip your toes in it all any more than last week or no? No. Okay, he's muted. So we are all mind
I spent 3 hours. I spent 3 hours with Yakuza Like a Pirate.
Okay, nice.
And I had a lot of fun. Yeah. Like I said, it gave me that PS2 vibe, that PlayStation 2 vibe.
Yeah.
It just felt so much. And I'll tell you what, I've been to Hawaii 4 times, and I've been to the Waikiki Beach, Honolulu Beach, which they emulated strongly after.
Yep.
3 times, I think. I've been very fortunate to do so, but it's funny. I don't, frankly, remember the hooligans.
You mean the
assholes? Yeah, and the major schemes that are going on, the gangs that are all around the shoreline there.
You didn't do any bounty hunts while you were in Hawaii, like hunting criminals and stuff? That's what they normally do, or play.
Yeah, I guess so. Apparently. I thought it was much nicer there. I mean, Cheesecake Factory was really good there. Yeah, just thought it was okay.
Yeah, there was. I will say the fun thing when I played Infinite Wealth last year for the first time, I stayed at that hotel that overlooks Waikiki Beach, the one with the 2 towers next to each other. So I was like, whoa, I literally have been here and went to a bunch of these spots. They do a pretty good recreation of about, I don't know, like 5 city blocks of Waikiki area. That game is so much fun. I've put only about 5 hours into it, which it takes a while to get going. You start very slow in traditional Yakuza fashion. Lots of story, lots of lore, lots of overhead. Your character has amnesia at the beginning, so you're learning a lot with him. But once you get going, and it's all about adding people to the mix, building your crew, recruiting animals for your zoo back home, bounty hunting, go-kart riding, all of these things. It becomes such a fun experience. It's like it's a bunch of treadmills. The game essentially feels like you're that hamster in the I guess the tread wheel. I don't know what they call those.
It's a wheel.
It's a wheel. Okay. Yeah. Okay. Well, just a wheel. Have you ever seen those on a car called wheel? So yeah, it's just fun to see the numbers go up sometimes. And it's been a very fun balance to Avowed, which I know we'll talk a little bit about. But the thing that it's kind of pulled me away from Avowed is Avowed, you hit a point where you don't level very fast, and the carrot becomes further on the stick, right? And you're playing it specifically for the story, which is cool. But I will say a lot of these games nowadays I'm playing mainly for gameplay. So yeah, we'll see what ends up happening. But it's I'm probably gonna just mainline this, man. And I'm tempted with Monster Hunter Wilds. I've been tempted with Kingdom Come Deliverance too, but I've got my eyes on the path of the pirate Yakuza in Hawaii. Real quick, let's do an Avowed check-in. Jank Despised One, where are you in Avowed?
I have not touched it this week.
Okay. He loved it,
unfortunately.
guys. He absolutely loved it. It's
Man, I tell you, I just got 5 kids, man. We got busy this week, so I didn't get to play as much.
Those kids want to play Avowed, okay? They want to know what's happening in the living lands.
I used to back when we had 3 kids. I used to be able to stay up at night. I'd be like, yeah, this is my video game time. But now, as soon as those lights go out, dude, I'm night.
You're also dead. Okay. Yeah. As soon as the lights go out, you die. All right, Gerald, how much where are you at in Avowed?
Only another hour in. Okay. Again, for me, it's something enjoyable. It's just finding the time to go ahead and play it. I had that window of time where I was able to really knock out some hours in that and Yakuza. And after that, it's just been like, okay, with what's going on, the NBA All-Star break is over. Back into doing that, plus Cosmos taking care of the latest stuff there, including a state of pro wrestling. It's hard, man. It's just hard to find time for games, man. It's hard.
It is. Even I have a lot more time than the two of you, and even still, I've only probably put in another few hours into Avowed. I'm in the 3rd zone. I did find out from Dr. Donna that there's some pretty cool stuff in that game in terms of you can you can change significant parts of the game, which I didn't expect going in. There's a pretty big event that happens in the 2nd zone. It doesn't affect much, but it's like a big story beat, if you will. And you can totally change it. And I didn't even know that was an option. But if you go and you find this quest and you follow it and you listen to the clues that they drop, you can literally change the way it's played. So I do think that's neat. I'm still enjoying Avowed. I do plan on finishing it. I'm hoping I get there before April because I feel like April is going to be the hardest month for gaming in terms of I'll probably try Clair Obscure, Expedition 33. I'll probably try South of Midnight. The Switch 2 launch is going to be getting me into super hype Switch 2 news. I feel like April, May is going to really heat up. And March, the only biggie is Assassin's Creed Shadows. So I've got a month right now where I probably will just be playing these games. But enough about the games we've been playing, more about figuring out what the greatest year in gaming is of all time. So here's the rules.
There's no argument. No. There's no argument. It is already my pick and what that will be. It's a done deal.
No, I've already won. I honestly... The year I chose, when you guys hear the titles I'm bringing, you are going to be like, man, why did I choose my stupid year that sucks? When you have the greatest
it's my year and it's not even close. I've been arguing it for years and I've won every time. Josh knows this as well.
Okay, well, we'll see. So here's the way we're going to play the game. It's going to be a battle royale. You can bring one game from that year to each fight. It cannot be a remake or a remaster unless it is a large remake like Resident Evil 2 or Final Fantasy VII remake. One of the games where it's almost a reimagining, if you will. But no straight ports, no Last of Us Part 1 in 2023 because it re-released, right? So you can choose that.
Oh, there goes that year.
Yeah, I know.
Oh,
and he was choosing 2023 for Last of Us Part 1 remake specifically. That was going to be your big heavy hitter.
Yes. How did you know?
I just knew it. Since I designed this game, I'll kick it off and I'll bring my first game. But before I do that, I want to tell you the year I'm championing. And with that, I am championing the greatest year in gaming of all time. And this is not about hardware. This is only about software. 2017. And just because I'm very competitive and I want to get this going to a way where it is going to be hard for you guys to win, I am bringing The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild to the table as the game. We will vote again at the end to see whose game wins for this specific round. Before I let you guys go and give me each your picks, we're going to go myself, Josh, Gerald, Brian, Gerald, Brian, Josh, and around we go.
Brank,
and
Gerald,
Go with Josh.
Brank.
Go with Josh first.
Yeah, Jank and
Jank
Brank and Dank and all of us.
Brank, Tank, Stank.
But yeah, once you bring in your game, you need to give us a reason why it's the greatest game of all time. And for Breath of the Wild, I'm going to be short and sweet. This is, I mean, if you haven't played it, you should. But if you've played it, you kind of know why it's the greatest game. It was a reimagining and re-envisioning of what Zelda was. It is the closest to the original Legend of Zelda in 3D that you can imagine. And when I think of like greatest years of gaming, one of the reasons why 2017 sticks out, not hardware about Switch, which is a big reason, but is the plethora of games coming out. I mean, there are games that I will mention as honorable mentions later that I didn't even choose because there's just too many big heavy hitters that I really do feel like redefined gaming. So yeah, Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild. Jank, what is your year and what is your first game you're going to feed to Breath of the Wild?
The year, my friends, is 1998.
Ooh, that is a goodie.
And I am going to go out there and I'm going to say Resident Evil 2.
Resident Evil 2, the original.
Oh, yeah.
Wow. Okay. Why would we want to play Resident Evil 2? Why is that the one?
Because that was the first. I'm going to argue and say that game was the first of its kind. It was the first game to use ambient noises like in the background of the speakers to scare you. Like you walk around the building and the ammo scarcity, like it was a truly terrifying game, not just because it was scary, like the zombies were scary, but because you never knew when you were going to run out of ammo and when you were going to find more ammo. So it had that perfect mixture of like anxiety, horror, and just straight up unsettling, that whatever that word is for feeling unsettled. And it was, I don't know. I mean you throwing Breath of the Wild out there, that's cheating, man. It's like using super cheats and you press the triangle, square, X, trigger, down pad, D-pad.
I'm doing up, down, left, right all day on this. But yeah, obviously each of us has like a couple games from our year that are really the standouts, right? That's why we think they're the best of the year. But Resident Evil 2 is a great pick. Gerald, what year are you bringing and what is the game that is the reason why we should vote for you?
Well, I've already won this contest. All right, because it is the year that I had actually coincidentally started as a video game store manager, and that is the best ever year in video games was 2007, and it's not even close. It is the most influential year on the business of all time. There's not even close competitors. 2017, 1998, and I know that I think I had this discussion once with Rob McCallum, a great documentary filmmaker, and yeah, he was arguing, I think in 1994, well, he might have been 1998, Josh, and he just couldn't match up. Let's go with the nice little ditty that influenced the marketplace still to this day. Let's go with Call of Duty Modern Warfare. Call of Duty 4 Modern Warfare.
That is a biggie.
I think I just destroyed you guys.
I don't know about that. So the way
I think Activision will tell you by their bank accounts exactly over the next 7
Whoa. Are we doing monetary?
This is voting.
We're doing no, it's the best year ever.
We gotta redefine the rules here.
It all. Not only is it a fantastic game that left a legacy for 17 years plus now, it redefined the shape of not only war games, first-person shooter games, multiplayer games for many years to come.
Okay, well,
mic drop.
Well, okay. We'll see how it goes, okay? We each have to vote. We can't vote for our year. That's the thing, okay? So I will vote first. I am going to vote that, besides my year, 2007 Call of Duty Modern Warfare is the best of those years. Jank, out of these three games, which is the winner?
Okay. Breath of the Wild, I'm gonna say.
Okay. And Gerald, you can't choose your year, so what are you choosing?
if I can't choose my year, which again is the best year, I guess I'll go 98 because I'm not a big Breath of the Wild
Oh,
guy.
so we do a three-way tie. Okay. I didn't plan on that. I thought we would
Oh,
all
JSJ, I've got that. I've got that. I've got that and more. I've got that and a whole lot more right in the side pocket, JSJ. I got all that and more right in the
Okay, so
pocket.
we'll see how this
These guys
goes
have
because
no
I
chance.
currently have a
No
three-way
chance.
tie for the first one. Okay, Jank, bring your next game from 1998 and why you think it's the greatest game ever made.
Oh my gosh! All right, I got a Spyro the Dragon.
Oh, nice. I love that
Mm-hmm.
one.
Yeah,
PS1 original?
PS1 original, and that's PlayStation. I mean, they had Crash Bandicoot, but Crash is more of like a you're playing from behind him, where Spyro was like the first true like 3D platformer that PlayStation put out. So um, I think that Spyro, you can't play anything about Spyro and say that it's not fun. Like everything about Spyro was so well done. The little like flying levels were frustrating, but I can't remember a game that year that I wanted to play more than Spyro the Dragon.
I mean, it is a classic, man. I'm a big platforming fan, and I think Spyro the Dragon's an incredible one. Okay, Gerald, why is 2007 going to be the better year? What's the game that is the reason
All
why
right.
it's
Again, that was my first year as a video game store owner, but it was also the year that the Wii rose and into at that time was one of the must get items on the face of planet Earth. People were really in the infancy of eBay and all that other stuff, trying to spike prices up on it, as we now see with consoles when they come out. People try to go ahead and jack the prices up and all that, but everybody would be calling around for Wii. I would get tons of calls a day. Do you guys have a Wii? 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 That's all I heard all
Did you
day
tell them
long.
the
You told
bathrooms for
no.
paying customers only?
We actually, it got to the point where I actually I told my employees, thanks for calling Game Crazy. We unfortunately do not have any Wii's at this time. How can I help you? That I basically told them to put it in their intro. So with that, I thought you guys, since you guys and everybody out there in video game land loves Nintendo, I'll throw out one of the highest Metacritic games of all time, Super Mario Odyssey at a 97.
Do you mean
And
Galaxy?
Super Mario was it? It's Super Mario.
Galaxy.
It is Super Mario Galaxy. Yeah, my bad. Super Mario
No,
Galaxy.
you're good.
Yes.
Because
It is Metacritic's 2007 Wii Video Game of the Year. It redefined platform gaming, and it is ultimately still to this day one of the greatest video game rated video games of all time at a whopping 97 on Metacritic.
okay,
to
it's a great
this day.
Metacritic score, but I'm about to bring the better older brother. 10 years later, another Mario game launches to the brand new Switch, Super Mario Odyssey, which I would argue is everything Galaxy is, but done way better. I struggled a lot with Galaxy, which, I'll get into that when we're voting. But Odyssey was what really brought me back into the fold. I had not loved Sunshine. I did not love Galaxy. I thought Galaxy 2 was much better. But for me, it was 64. And then Odyssey was everything I could have ever dreamed about. Even I remember watching the trailer where they showed that every single jump was like choreographed, right? Where you could use every jump from every Mario game ever in Odyssey. The long jumps, the triple jumps, the backflips, like all of those. So yeah, for me, it's Super Mario Odyssey again, another Nintendo boy. We'll do the voting again. This time we'll start with the person who started first. Jank, which year, based on the game, are you going to vote for?
Okay, so I didn't struggle with it, but I was not a huge fan of Galaxy. There's something about because that was the first one I'd played after 64, and there was something about playing on like planets and space and having like the way
I
that you
struggle with
could
that
go
too.
around, like it messed with my senses. So like I never finished that one. Odyssey, on the other hand, I fell in love with that game and I played it
so
3 or
much.
4 times. Like it was pretty dang amazing. So I'm gonna have to go with 2017 for this one.
Okay. What are you feeling, Gerald?
Since you say I can't vote for mine,
Can't
which
vote for
again
your own year.
set
Yes.
the precedent for what was something done, just the same because it also got a 97 Metacritic 10 years later with better technology. I'll go ahead and give you that on that.
Okay.
What was your pick again, Josh?
Spyro the Dragon.
I'm going to go with Spiral. I'm going to go
Really?
with Spiral. Yeah,
Okay.
I'm going to
Well,
go with Spyro. It's
I
underrated.
have to man, I feel like you're doing that out of spite because Mario Odyssey is such a good game. Did you not play it?
I have played it. Yeah, I
You
have
didn't
played
like
both.
it?
It's good. It's good.
Really? Okay.
I'm not a huge Mario platforming fan. I'm just gonna go ahead and say that out loud.
Well, then this is going to be a surprise that I did not expect. Spyro the Dragon is the winner for our vote because I did not like Galaxy very much either. I understand the relevance and how important it is, but it was not the Mario for me. It wasn't as bad as Sunshine, but it was definitely in the camp of I've played it once. I tried playing again the Switch port that they released in where that was like 2020. I don't want to play it. I would be happy if they brought two, but one was always one they struggled with. I'm not like disregarding that 2007 it made it a banger year because they had a Mario as well, but it just was not the Mario for me. Okay, Gerald, you get a kickoff this year.
Well, it's a game that I had probably the most pre-orders for
Okay.
ever in my store. I think over 500 I counted before we
Wow.
went, and we had this huge whole event because around the world it was event. It was
Wow.
a televised event all around the world, from New York to LA to game stores all around the world, and obviously had not only a very definitive multiplayer, which took steps from the first two editions and improved upon it. It had a really, really, really strong campaign, and it is also singled out as a 94 on Metacritic as well. And financially, it's one of the biggest success stories in the history of Xbox. And I'll just say it's those
Oh.
lovable, useless $100 plus collectible Halo 3 collectibles. But yes, it is, of course, Halo 3, one of the best Xbox selling games of all time.
Yeah, I think it's a great one. Okay,
JSJ was like, put Halo 3, put Halo 3, put it.
yeah.
I was like, I've got that for you. That's the and that's just, I'm just getting warmed up, guys, on 2007.
Okay.
The most influential and greatest year in
I,
video
I
games.
I don't think anyone's gonna argue that there were a lot of big titles. I mean, I think the funny thing is, I think there's about like honestly 6 to 8 years in gaming that you could, because of just some of the titles that released, you could argue like this is easily the best year. If we were doing it by volume, I think it would be a very different thing. Like the amount of games, that would also be something. But because we're doing it based on like each of these and based on our feelings, it's very interesting. So I'm gonna sacrifice something because I know it probably won't win, but I do think it was incredibly important. Resident Evil 7 Biohazard. If you guys remember, Resident Evil had been essentially struggling. They had released 5, which was kind of on the way down, and then 6, which came out to horrible reviews. It seemed like the series was probably going to be done. And then they released a teaser demo for what ended up being Resident Evil 7, and it really revived that entire series. From Resident Evil 7, we got Resident Evil 2 Remake, Resident Evil Village, Resident Evil 3 Remake, Resident Evil 3 Remake, then Village, and then Resident Evil 4 Remake. And it's just been nothing but wins for them since. And I really think Resident Evil 7 is what kicked them off on this journey to be the best, one of the best series that Capcom has, in my opinion. So yes, I am bringing Resident Evil 7 Biohazard from 2017. Jank, what is your 1998 game of choice?
Oh my gosh! All right. This is gonna be a feeder here. I got Parasite Eve.
Oh, I love Parasite Eve.
I love Parasite Eve too. So here's the thing. Here's where I think it does compare to Halo just a little bit. Is that Halo was a game that when you played the single player, not talking about the multiplayer, but the single player, they did a good job of making you really interested in the lore. The more you played
Okay.
the game, like the more they had the hidden terminals, they had you learn more about the flood and what was the main flood guy's name? I can't remember.
The
But
Arbiter? No, the
Not
Arbiter.
the
Or no,
not
no,
the
you're talking
Arbor,
about the.
the hive mind thing, whatever,
Yeah,
grave
yeah,
mind. Yeah, you
yeah.
learn more about like all that stuff, and they just did a good job of like making you interested in the world. And I think Parasite Eve did that too. It was terrifying, but they did a good job of like while you were exploring this world, being scared, like you were invested in like what in the world is going on with everybody and everything here. So, um, Parasite Eve, I'm gonna throw it out there. I still remember the first time I played that game was I got the PlayStation 1. I went down to Fry's, Mama Peterson bought it for me and it was raining
Mama
outside.
P.
So I just sat on the old couch all day with the lights off and played some Parasite Eve until well, I mean, I didn't play it all in one sitting, but it is a game I did finish it. I did finish it. And it was pretty dang
Good
good.
memories.
Yeah.
Okay, so Gerald, which game are you voting for?
What was yours again?
Resident Evil 7 Biohazard.
I'm going to go with Resident Evil 7. I had a better time with that than Parasite Eve.
Yeah.
Although, I think I'm pretty much another mic drop on Halo 3 for that one.
I mean, I will agree with you. I think out of these games, Halo 3 is one of the best games. I have so many good memories, right? That's just a game I remember coming home from. I had just started college and coming home and playing tons of the multiplayer, playing the whole entire campaign in 4-player co-op. Halo 3 is really special. I mean, truly, as much as I like Infinite, I will probably never feel the same way about Halo ever again. I didn't feel the same way about Reach or ODST or 5 or 4. And as much as I've enjoyed 5 and Infinite, I didn't really play 4 at all, and I'd never gotten to Reach. I don't think I'll ever feel like I did about Halo 3 and Halo 2, right? Like those two, in my mind specifically, are super important. Halo 1, obviously, I have a lot of fond memories, but I didn't get it day one at launch. So it just doesn't have the same ring, right? Of like, oh, I'm so excited for this. Halo 3 is incredible package. It is sad to think Halo 3, in my opinion, was the peak of the series. I don't think we've seen anything near the excitement ever again for it. But because it's a great series. But yeah, I have to go for Halo 3. Janky, what are you gonna vote for?
I got to do Halo 3 because, like you
Yeah.
said, it is the pinnacle of the series, but also like it's the pinnacle of my memories of the series too. Is
Yeah.
that like I was working at Best Buy the year Halo 3 came out, and I got the game. All my coworkers played it. All my buddies were playing it. It was the first time like my work people and my like outside friends and brother and everything, like those two communities merged, and we just sit there for hours and hours and hours playing that game. The campaign was fun, and that was probably the last time we got Reach was pretty good, but like that was probably the last like good Halo story.
The co-op, that was the last good Halo co-op.
Yeah. But the multiplayer, they did an amazing job of blending the old stuff with some of the newer things that were slowly being introduced over the next few games. So
yeah, they had like the pickupable, like I forgot what it was, like the RB or LB, one of them, like you drop like the shield, the overshield or whatever.
Yeah.
There was it wasn't called the overshield. The overshield's thing you get, and that gives you more shield. But the whatever it was, like the bubble, right? Like they had that, and I'll still never forget like I think they were made by Blur, but the trailers for the game, right? They're phenomenal.
Yeah.
The company that Microsoft gets for all of their you guys were talking about Avowed, right? And I believe that's also a Blur cinematic at the beginning of it.
I believe you're correct as well.
And it's just they're just like the top when it comes to that. And they used to pretty much work exclusively with, not exclusively, but they were on all the Microsoft first party products, all the Halo games. Okay, so it's back to me for 2017. I truly think 2017 has a lot of great games, but since I need to know my audience, I think this one is something that a lot of us could agree on as being a very important and very fun. And a game, again, like Resident Evil 7 Biohazard, I just believe this game reinvigorated a dying series. Assassin's Creed Origins. This was the one that took place in Egypt. In my opinion, it's probably one of the most fun, this or Odyssey. And after what seemed like it wasn't very successful with Syndicate, and I know Black Flag has a lot of people love it, but right after that was Unity, which everyone hated, it seemed like for the most part. It seemed like Assassin's Creed was going to be over. And Assassin's Creed Origins came out, and they got at least 2 more games. Now, we've already talked about how Shadows may or may not fail here next month, but I think Assassin's Creed Origins, which redefined the series, it's now the new way we play Assassin's Creed games. It's just such a fun game. I love it. Jank, you got anything for 98?
All right, so I'm gonna put out one of my personal favorites, Brave Fencer Musashi.
Okay. There are some big ones that I feel like you haven't brought, and I'm guessing you're not going to bring them because like when I think 98, there is a mammoth title that is not that you haven't said yet. So
Yeah, no, so there are far too many games out there. I just picked my favorites.
really?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, cuz dude, like I'm looking at that list and you in my opinion you could have won a lot of these handily with some of these. I mean, we'll talk about our honorable
Not
mentions, the ones we
mine.
didn't choose. We'll talk about the rest of the games of the year after we're done. We'll just do a quick rundown of the other games that came out that we didn't bring. But talk about Brave Fencer Musashi. Sorry about interrupting. I just was
No, you're good.
surprised.
Yeah. So Brave Fencer Musashi, I had just finished so I played Final Fantasy VII. That was like my introduction to the big Square RPGs. Had played Legend of Legaia, and then Brave Fencer Musashi was my next adventure. I remember going to Blockbuster and grabbing it because it was the first game I ever rented that had like multiple discs.
Yeah.
And I remember getting it, and I sat there and I played it for hours and hours and hours. The first time I had it, I didn't finish it because I didn't have enough time before it garnered a late fee. So I
Oh,
went
okay.
out. So I went out and I bought it from Target a few weeks later. But I think that was like a $60 price tag for it. It was one of the more expensive PlayStation titles. But
Do you still have that copy? I know you were like talking about trying to get a physical a while ago.
So I have a physical copy of it. I don't have the original one that I bought, but I do have a physical
Okay.
copy. It's got all the manuals and all that. But yeah, it was I don't know. I thoroughly enjoy the game. I didn't ever go and play was it Musashi 2 or I forget what the title was.
I know which one you're talking about. It's a PS2 title.
Yeah.
It's called The Legend of Musashi or something. I can't
Yeah,
remember.
because I remember PS2 had a sequel to both Musashi and Legend of Legaia, and neither
Yeah.
of those two were, worthy of the first
Ju-
ones. But
Just guess what that game's going for used right now on Amazon, Brave Fencer Musashi, which includes the Final Fantasy VIII playable demo seed.
playable demo. I'm gonna say 180.
Yeah, roughly 170. And it's called Musashi Samurai Legend, which I did try the demo for the PS2 game. Did like it. Okay, Gerald, wow us with your 2007 game of choice.
What, did you say Assassin's Creed Origins?
I did. So you're going to choose Assassin's Creed.
Speaking of Origins, when did Assassin's Creed come out? Just
probably not in 2007. It came out in 2004.
No, 2007 is from what I remember distinctly. So, in fact, I have the unopened art book and guide right there for you as far as sealed.
So real talk, though. I understand its cultural relevance. If it were you, though, would you choose not Origins? I won't even bring that one in. 1 or 2? Because for me, Assassin's Creed 1 is a game I bought,
well,
played 5 hours,
two is the best.
Shut off.
2 and 4 are the best Assassin's Creed in my opinion.
The Black Flag.
2 and 4
for me, it's 2 and like the Origins Odyssey. Like
if you talk to any Assassin's Creed diehard, i.e. Josh, he'll probably tell you 2 is the best one ever. But I was just pointing out.
Yeah.
Funny, when did that series originate?
I'm not there. Honestly, like 2007 and 2017 have a lot of the same crossover in titles, right? Like, there are some big titles I think from each. When I brought my year, I'm not saying it's like the year that every single major game came out on Earth. It's just
but you said what is the best year ever for video games and for this industry. And for the audience, even though you do have a banger in 2017, I will give you that.
I love
a real banger
Origins
that you haven't mentioned yet.
Oh,
still, 2007
I might not even get to there.
2007 has just absolutely the influence that it had on the industry for still to this day. You cannot deny it. It's just importance to the industry. If you take 2007, if there was any one year you took out that would really cripple the industry, it would be 2007, even over 2017. And I'll just leave it at that. But getting back to our,
you're not bringing that title.
No, I just asked you when it originated.
Oh, okay.
2007. So if your game in 2017, it wouldn't have even been a thought if it hadn't been created first
Hey.
several iterations earlier in 2007. I'll just let you know.
Jank could have brought a very big 98 game that could have changed everything too, but he's like dragging his heel on it.
I'm going to go ahead and throw a little thing out there called right behind me. He's sitting there with the lay on there. Mass Effect.
Okay, that's a good one. That is one where if you didn't bring in, I was like, you're missing.
I've got it right behind me. You know how big a super fan I am. I didn't know when I would bring it in. But yes, it obviously the influence as far as storytelling, as far as being able to go ahead and wasn't the first of its kind to do it, but it really revolutionized how you could take elements from a game that you completed and it'll carry it over to the next game, kind of sounded better than actual execution by the time Mass Effect 3 came along. But still, Mass Effect 1, it does have its flaws, but it is absolutely, as if you guys, I know Josh and I, we bought the Mass Effect, what's the remastered version?
Legendary Edition?
Of it. Yeah, the Legendary Edition.
I picked it up as well. It was a waste of $60. I played probably 5 minutes of that game. I should have just waited.
And you loved it.
Oh, those 5 minutes.
We loved absolutely fantastic experience. Absolutely great storytelling, very compelling, and finally, my dreams are coming true with it coming to fruition in hopefully a television format sometime in the near future. But yeah, I'm just going to throw that little ditty out there, Mass Effect, because again, as you see behind me, I've got a lot of paraphernalia from that period of time. So it was, just people were just odd. I used to burn onto DVDs the trailers. They used to send us the store trailer, trailers for the store, whatnot, but nobody liked them. They were horrible. And you put them on a loop and it'd be only like 20 minutes long. I would put on like a 2-3 hour DVD full of various games and whatnot, but it was the Mass Effect story trailers that really just had people stop in their tracks and instantly gave their money for pre-orders for that game. It was absolutely something that I correlated. Was so passionate about from the get-go, and it ultimately paid off. It's one of those things that the hype matched everything I wanted it to be as far as the video game is concerned. So yeah, Mass Effect will be the next on my list.
I still remember the Mass Effect 2 Super Bowl trailer. I remember going to a Super Bowl party and watching it, and I was a huge Mass Effect 1 fan. It was one of my favorites. And I will say, because I loved 1 so much, I did love 2. They lost me at 3. I never finished 3. I don't know if I, at this point in my life, will ever finish 3, which is weird because I would have, at the time when 2 came out, it probably would be in my top 5 games ever, and 1 might be in there too. But I don't know. It's a series that I feel very strangely about now. I still love those old titles. But we're going to do some voting. And for me, I'm sorry, Jank, I'm going to have to go with Mass Effect. This is obviously, one of my favorite RPGs. Yeah, I think it's one of the best, dude. What are you going to choose, my Jank?
I got to say, Mass Effect.
Yeah.
Also, I thought that Oblivion was bad, but I think I invested more hours into Mass Effect than I did Oblivion.
Yeah, I spent so much more time in Skyrim than either of those. Gerald, I know it doesn't affect who won.
Oh, we won't touch even Oblivion because Oblivion had some of the best DLC ever for a video game, and it came out when?
I don't think it came out in 2007.
No, not the game, the DLC. Some of the best DLC ever. Shivering Isles.
Oh, you're right. I thought that was a 2000 because the game came out in 2004. So I thought it was going to be.
No, the video game came out. Actually, no. Oblivion came out in 2006.
No way. Came out in 2006.
Yeah, it came out the same year as the 360. I thought.
The 360 was 2005, but
it was 2006.
The 360 came out in 2005, though, but Oblivion did come out.
Oblivion came out. It was supposed to be a launch title, but Oblivion came out in 2006.
Okay.
And then the DLC came out in 2007.
Well, you could have brought that. Okay, what would you vote for, though, if you had? I know it doesn't matter, but just curious out of Brave Fencer Musashi and Assassin's Creed Origins.
I'm gonna have to go with Assassin's Creed Origins. That's one.
Yes,
That's
it's
one I
because
actually
my
played.
games are old, man. It's because my games are
It has
old.
nothing to do with your games
Uh,
being old. It is funny though. You chose like a very like square centered PlayStation because like there are so many good 98. We'll talk about the year after, but it's just like I'm still kind of
I
like
am
surprised.
definitively winning this contest. I just want to let everybody know.
I mean,
Mic
it's
drop.
I do feel like I would have had a win with Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild if you would have chosen Resident Evil 2 PS1, which is like not even fun. If you play it, it's not a fun game. It's a very not fun. The old Resident Evil tank controls are awful. But anyways, okay, Jake.
we're not voting on the funnest year. We're voting on the best year. Okay.
Well, there should
We gotta
also be some
redefine the
fun if we're
rules here.
playing video games. Okay, Jake, end it for us. What is your fifth and final game that proves that 1998 is the best year ever?
Easy. Ocarina of Time. That's it. Boom,
Oh,
boom, boom. You got
I
it.
am happy that you brought this one, my boy. I was worried. I was like, is he not gonna bring the game?
I
from
was
98?
debating because there's so many. There's like Metal Gear Solid. And I was like,
Yeah.
I like that game. And there was StarCraft and a few other. We'll talk about that later. But
Yeah, I couldn't
yeah,
believe.
Ocarina of Time, like it holds for how I like to collect retro games. It holds
Yeah,
a lot of value. Like if you have a complete in box
the
copy of
gold
Ocarina
one.
of Time, yeah, absolutely. That game is worth a bunch. But I mean, it's also one of those things where like if you have a sealed copy, like you can sell it for quite a bit of money. It's highly sought after. Anyways,
Yeah,
game has a
game.
great story. Is one I didn't play it when it originally came out on the 64 because I didn't get a Nintendo 64 till much later in life when I got into retro gaming. But I really did enjoy that game. I played it after Breath of the Wild, so it was
Whoa.
I went backwards. But no, it
Did
was
you play
great.
the 3DS version or the 64 original?
64 original.
Because the 3DS version that's how I beat it, and it is significantly better. It fixes a lot of the quality of life stuff. Because I didn't get to Ocarina of Time till the 3DS. I had tried it several times on N64 and fell off multiple times, but I still think it's one of the greatest games ever made. I mean, easily top 20. But boy, that the original is harder to go back. The further you get from it.
Yeah. Anyways, that's pinnacle of 1998, I think.
Okay, and Gerald, what is your 2007 showstopper?
I've got so many to choose from. I mean, could I go God of War 2? Could I go with something more like Uncharted, Drake's Fortune, and what that started? Or could I go with something like the greatest collection of video games possibly ever in the orange box, which included Half-Life 2, Portal, and Team Fortress 2? Could I go that? As much as I would like to, or Rock Band, which revolutionized and took a step up from even what Guitar Hero was doing, I will go with something that was the second leading Metacritic game from there. It's something I think you guys have both mentioned that you've enjoyed before, BioShock.
Whoa. Okay, you threw me for a loop.
Yeah, you're
I
like
thought you were
over
gonna
here.
choose
Oh, I've got
Resident
more.
Evil 4.
I've got more. I've got, there's GTA 4. There's dozens of games still I could throw out at you because 2007 is just that good.
BioShock's a great game, man. I'm not going to argue that, but I mean, you're up against a toughie. I truly think Legend of Zelda: Ocarina of Time is one of the greatest games. Yeah, well, I mean, the problem is my toughie is done. So this one I'm bringing, not because I think it's the greatest game ever. I'm bringing this one for cultural relevance. I think this one literally changed gaming. It's 1 year later is the bigger version of it, but PlayerUnknown's Battlegrounds. In my opinion, we would not see the live service gaming revolution that we see today without PlayerUnknown's Battlegrounds, because we would not have seen Fortnite save the world morph into what is Fortnite today. Now, does that mean that I love it? No, I played probably a dozen matches. I think it's a really well-made game, very interesting. It is still one of the biggest games in Asia. Like I was over in China recently, and a lot of my family members over there were playing PlayerUnknown's Battlegrounds. So it's very, very popular. But I have to at least mention it, right? Like I didn't bring a lot of games that were about cultural relevance, really. It brought a lot of things that are reimaginings or some of my favorites in the series. But I would have felt weird not talking about that. Now, there's a bunch of choices that you guys probably think I'm dumb for not bringing. We can talk about our years after and the games we didn't bring and why we didn't. But yeah, it's PlayerUnknown's Battlegrounds for me. Jank, you get to decide which of these years, besides your own, had the better game. Was it PlayerUnknown's Battlegrounds or BioShock?
Ooh, I'm gonna have to say BioShock. That's where I'm landing.
I am sorry to kill Gerald's buzz. As much as I love BioShock, I can't vote against Ocarina of Time. Ocarina of Time is easily, in my mind, top 10, maybe top 20. I said earlier, games like it's a Chrono Trigger level of games where it's like every time I see it, every time like I play it, every time I play that opening Kakariko Village, it triggers so many memories, like of going and seeing it Toys R Us and walking down the aisles. And yeah, I loved BioShock. I bought the collector's edition. I had the Big Daddy statue that came with it, even though mine had a broken saw at the end from GameStop. I think it's a phenomenal game, incredible series, but I just think there are a few games. I mean, if you put Breath of the Wild against Ocarina of Time, that to me is a hard choice, even though I'd still go Breath of the Wild. But it's like Ocarina of Time is just such a biggie. What about you, Gerald? You going with PlayerUnknown's?
Ocarina of Time.
Yeah,
you can't argue that. That's the one. If you're not allowing me to pick BioShock, which I had a better time in than Ocarina of Time, because I'm just a first-person shooter player. That's what I prefer. I've always done it ever since the genre was created back in Wolfenstein 3D and all that. I played throughout the 90s. Mainly, a lot of them were shooters. A lot of them were first-person shooters. That's what I matriculate to. For me, that's my deal. I enjoyed that better than the Zeldas and the Marios of the world, but that doesn't mean I can't appreciate the wonder and splendor of Ocarina of Time. I've played through a percentage of it, and I enjoyed my time with it. So I will go ahead, Josh. Since I'm not allowed to pick my own, you win that time.
This would be a pretty boring thing if we all chose our own, because then nobody would win. Three-way tie. But
I've already won this contest before it even started, based off of what all these games have done in the industry.
Let's go to the tabulation. So we will talk about the games we did not bring, why we didn't bring them and stuff in just a minute. We'll just do a quick run through. So for the first one, between Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild, Resident Evil 2, and Call of Duty 4 Modern Warfare, ended up being a three-way tie. We had one vote for each of those games. The second one, which was between Super Mario Odyssey, Spyro the Dragon, and Super Mario Galaxy, we voted surprisingly for Spyro the Dragon. I think it's just because I disliked Super Mario Galaxy as much as I did. The following games for Resident Evil 7, Biohazard, Parasite Eve, and Halo 3. Halo 3 was the clear winner. Assassin's Creed Origins, Brave Fencer, Musashi, and Mass Effect. Mass Effect was the clear winner. And for the final round, it was PlayerUnknown's Battlegrounds, Legend of Zelda Ocarina of Time, and BioShock. Legend of Zelda Ocarina of Time was the winner. So we had 2 wins for 98 and 2 for 2007. Sadly, my year, even though I think 2017 is an insanely stacked year, got no wins. We will probably have to play more of these games soon with other years, because I truly think
Fortnite.
Because Fortnite's 2018. You could use Save the World, but they totally
Wikipedia.
Because they released Save the World in 2017. I could have said Fortnite, but it was a totally different game. It was like a PvE base building game. And then in 2018, they relaunched to Fortnite Battle Royale and then got rid of the game.
I don't think they would have chosen GTA 4.
I may have. The problem is it was going against Ocarina of Time.
Ocarina of Time, yeah. I don't think anything would have beaten Ocarina of Time in these guys' minds. So.
The only thing that you could have done is like if BioShock would have been where your Mario Galaxy was, or I think you probably would have won that year, because like I love Spyro the Dragon, but I do think BioShock or GTA 4, I prefer both of those games. I also
blame Metacritic.
Yeah, okay. I also think that I mean, Galaxy's not a bad game. I just didn't love it. Do you like it, Josh?
I'm sorry, you're skipping out. Which game are we talking about?
Super Mario Galaxy.
Yeah, I mean, I don't hate it. Like I said, it's not my favorite Mario entry, just because I didn't like the whole
planet hopping. That was what I hated too. I felt like it was not the best implementation. So anyways, let's go around the horn and just talk real quickly about some games that we didn't bring. Okay, I'll just start. I'm going to give a couple real fast. I didn't bring Persona 5. a lot of people could argue that has revived the Japanese RPG obsession, right? I feel like we were seeing the death of turn-based RPGs, and all of a sudden Persona 5 comes out and kills everything. But I don't think you guys would have voted for it in any capacity. I don't think either of you guys played it. Am I right?
Yeah.
And I'll give another one before someone else moves on. But the next one I wanted to bring, which I should have, but I know you guys would not have cared, is Cuphead. Cuphead to me is like one of the best indie platformer shooters ever. When I saw the original Xbox sizzle reel, I think it was 3 or 4 years before it came out, I was like, what is this? And I felt like everybody said that. And when it came out in 2017, it was one of my favorite games from 2017. I have way more, but before I keep going, Gerald, do you want to give us a couple that you didn't bring and the reasons why you still love them or why you didn't bring them? Or
Well, GTA 4, but and GTA 4 was one of the big sellers of that time. I remember that people were threatening my crew as far as because we didn't get it in on time, and yeah, there were people that actually were, because we had a line of people out the door waiting for the game, and we did not receive it for 3 or 4 hours late, and I had to give over $1,000 in refunds to send them down the street to Walmart for it because they were threatening my employees with bodily harm. GTA 4, though, is a great experience. I enjoyed my time with that. Again, Uncharted, Drake's Fortune, which I have another standee from that series for, and I do have a great love for it, and I do actually have still banners on that side, including the original 2007 Uncharted Drake's Fortune banner, which is on my side here. So that one, obviously, for me, is a great love because it's one of my favorite series of all time, even though Tom Holland has tried to destroy it on the movies, but I won't go too much of that one. Yeah, Rock Band, you know how Rock Band elevated, like I talked about. Yeah, the Orange Box, which has
Orange Box is it would have been hard if you chose that for anything. That's like one of my favorite games ever.
The Orange Boxes, I was really driving hard, but I wasn't sure to gauge if your guys were going to be able to, how much do you respect that? Because
I also don't know if Josh played the Orange Box. Did you get it, Josh? The 5-pack that they made with Team Fortress, Half-Life 2.
It's 3 games.
Well, no. There's Episode 1, Episode 2, original Half-Life 2, Team Fortress, and Portal 1. It's a crazy deal in gaming. It was the release of Episode 2 because I bought like a graphics card for PC to play Half-Life 2. It's still one of my favorite first-person shooters. I played Half-Life 2 Episode 1 on PC, which I wasn't really doing. But really, it was the Orange Box in 2007, where I think I might have played all of them on there. And I played quite a bit of Team Fortress. I beat Portal 1. I know I beat Episode 2, and I believe I beat Episode 1 again, as well as Half-Life 2 again on 360, just because it was like, it was phenomenal. There's probably still some more, Gerald, but before we get back to you, Josh, any games that you didn't bring, why you didn't bring them? Your 98 titles?
Yeah, I had Metal Gear Solid, and that was... I liked that game. I didn't realize like how big it was going to be at the time I played it, because I remember I was so freaking frustrated in a lot of points in Metal Gear Solid, just because you were doing a lot of sneaking, and it didn't feel like the technology was quite there yet to be able to do play the game easily. The other one I had StarCraft came out that year, the original one.
Yep.
And
that. Do you mind me asking why you didn't bring Banjo-Kazooie? For me, that's I actually prefer. Well, I'm torn. I love Super Mario 64, so I can't say I prefer Banjo-Kazooie, but Banjo-Kazooie is definitely up there for me.
Because I didn't have a Nintendo 64. I never played Banjo-Kazooie. I saw it's on Games Pass, and I've always thought about going back and playing it, but I just have never gotten there.
The HD remake that they did for Xbox Live Arcade is definitely worth trying. But it might not hold up without the nostalgia. I don't know. I
could have come back with Metro Prime 3, Lego Star Wars, The Complete Saga. I mean, if you're into Final Fantasy Tactics.
So I also could have come with some big ones. I didn't bring this one because I don't know if you guys played it. Hollow Knight. It's considered like the greatest Metroidvania ever. You probably hear about Silksong every day.
Well,
that game's great. I didn't love this one, so this is why I didn't bring it, but a lot of people probably would have brought it. Horizon Zero Dawn, because it literally saved Guerrilla Games, right? Like they were failing after Killzone. Yeah, I'm with you. I was yawning the whole way through it. This one, Divinity Original Sin 2, is pretty much why we got Baldur's Gate 3. a game people love. Not my favorite game, but still. One of my favorite immersive sims ever, Prey, the 2017 one. If you remember, they like remade that game, totally different style game. And then the last two that were pretty big that or three, I guess, Near Automata, which is like a huge, well-known game that people love from Japan. Hellblade: Senua's Sacrifice, which I remember we started Super BS in 2017, and we had a lot of discussions. I think that was Jenks, like either favorite game of the year or in your top 5. Yeah. And then Destiny 2. Not my game, but again, Destiny 2 is just, I mean, it's still around today. It's obviously very relevant almost 10 years later. Gerald, any more 2007 titles?
Yeah, actually, I do. Like I said, all those great titles. But if you wanted to go graphics, you can go to Crysis. I mentioned God of War 2 earlier.
Yeah, that's a good one.
Castlevania: Symphony of the Night. For those that are into Castlevania, Forza Motorsport 2, which for quite some time was considered the best of the Forzas. Ratchet and Clank, as far as Tools to Destruction. So
it's crazy
that one's
to me
absolutely
it's crazy to me that God of War 2 came out like 7 months after the PS3 launched, because like I thought God of War 2 came out in 2006. When you're telling me this, I was like very confused. But yeah, it says 2007, and I was like, what? Because I didn't have a PS3 at that point because it was way too expensive. But still, it's like very confusing to me that it came out like that far after the launch of PlayStation 2. Anyways, sorry, I just want to throw that out there because
no worries. I mean, if you did want another great racing game that got overshadowed by Forza was PGR 4 that came out. Skate, for those that are hoping for a redo of that series. Although we did
that forever.
Yeah, I mean, they're supposed to have the new one this year, but they're saying it's like going to be an early access game. There's a whole lot of weird stuff to it. So
for you Persona fans, Shin Megami Tensei Persona 3.
Yeah. I mean,
I think I got this hands down, guys. Okay. Hands down.
We'll need to bring more judges in. I will say, if we ever had tons of more people listening, it would be a lot of fun to have voting by people, because it's I do think that every year means different things to different people, right? Like I almost thought about bringing 2023 to this just because I think Tears of the Kingdom is that good of a game that I was like, hey, but I feel like almost every year for the last 10 years, you could have easily been like, hey, this is the game. There were plenty of stinkers in there. Like 2014 was not a great year. 2015 was not a great year. 2016 was not a great year. Gerald Glass for 2007 is not totally accurate. It is a great year. But I would say there's probably about like 6 huge contenders when I think of it. And it would be fun to get more voters in on this. Josh, do you have any more you want to bring before we hit the road?
No. My favorite game, of course, Legend of Legaia, came out in 1998. But
you didn't want to bring that though.
I didn't, because it's not considered by many to be like a classic, just to me, because I have such fond memories with it.
I know you just brought Parasite Eve though. It's just like
I did, because I think Parasite Eve's a classic, man.
I mean, I agree with you, but I wouldn't have, like, if you would have been like Legend of Legaia, I wouldn't have thought anything different than Parasite Eve, right? Similarly, like I don't know, I think PS1 RPGs, it's not unfair. It just depends on if the people that you're talking with have fond memories, right? If those people played those games, like, didn't Final Fantasy VIII release in 98?
Nope, 1999.
Oh, yeah. And then was Final Fantasy 9 the year later in 2000?
Yep. That was the only game that had a back-to-back release year. And then 97 had Final Fantasy 7, and they skipped 98.
Yeah, I mean, there's just so many good RPGs on PS1, right? Like it's I don't know, what is it called? Like a wealth of riches or whatever. I can't remember the colloquialism, but yeah, it's a very, very good year. There's, I mean, all.
Oh, did I mention Dirt Up Above was also 2007?
I mean, I think you knew your audience, because I think if you would have said that, you would have got 0 votes. I don't know about you, Josh.
The Darkness.
I never played Dirt. The Darkness I heard was good. I never turned it on, so I do know people liked it. I feel like I bought it many years after and never played it.
One of the best versions of Pac-Man Championship Edition.
Oh, that's a very popular game. I never played that one again. 2007, I was pretty much like, I remember the day going to, I want to say, Best Buy and picking up Mass Effect and Assassin's Creed at the exact same day. But for me, 2007 was Modern Warfare, Halo 3, Super Mario Galaxy, Mass Effect, Assassin's Creed, right? Like the other games that you're talking about, like God of War 2, I played those as well. But a lot of these other ones I didn't even touch.
I didn't even know whip out The Witcher. So
the original one on PC?
Yep.
Oh man, that's a rough game. It is very important, I will say. If you would have brought it, I could have understood the relevance because we wouldn't have Witcher 3 without it. But boy, if you try to play that game, I think they're remaking it. Isn't that something that they're doing?
From what I heard.
Yeah, that should be good because that game needs a remake. It is not fun to play. I played it years later on Mac and I gave up like 2 hours in because it's a Euro jank game. If you guys remember a long time ago, pretty much every RPG that came out of Europe was incredibly janky and did not really, it wasn't a AAA quality. Games are obviously getting better and studios are getting better at making like high quality stuff. Man, we talked for a full hour today, my bros. Appreciate you guys, appreciate what you do. But yes, I'm looking forward to soon when we will come back and we will give you guys more lists of the best things and talk about more big games and go to Hawaii and recruit our pirate ships and win the Pirate Coliseum. That's what we're all doing right now. Okay. Peace.
Peace.
Super.
BS.